show today. Already got Tokyo Gary on. Awesome. Make Gary a panelist. Great. All right. Got Adams on as well. Great. I'm gonna make him. I think I can make him a panelist. Yep. Make Adam a panelist. That's awesome. And then great. I'll have the other guys coming on shortly. Okay, I'll start with Lord's Prayer and we'll go from there. Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Okay, here we go. Lights out. We've got an exciting Magic Secrets show for today. I was actually able to meet with Lawrence this week and with Bryn as well, and actually start in on updating the actual Magic Secrets book that this whole thing started with. So to give you some context, David Mills and I started this whole Magic Secrets thing all the way back in 2003 by writing a book that we called Magic Secrets or MTG Secrets, and we actually provide sort of a legacy version of that book on the website. Actually, let me take you through how to get it to there. Let me go to webinar app here. Oh, great. We have Brandon Lawrence on as well. Both panelists. Fantastic. Great. Okay, guys. So let me pull up the sharing really quickly, and we'll do a slightly different format this show. So the way we've been doing it up to this point is by great to have Tokyo Gary on. Awesome. Where in the world are you coming from, Gary?
I am currently in Indonesia.
I'm muted for a second, or am I muted? There we go.
All right. Yeah, I could hear you, both of you guys.
Okay, great. So Gary, where are you coming in from?
Indonesia.
Indonesia. Awesome. Spreading Magic Secrets around the world. So let me go to sharing and to share my screen here. So this is off the Magic Secrets website. If you click in on book, this book appears. And right now, the way to find the book is to see, where is it? Always clicking in, a little bit new and different for me here. All right, here we go. So here's the book. And then I think it's around page 2, page 3. There we go. Click this link. And the password is Rootwater Thief. I was thinking, of course, at some point we can get to the point of being like a little bit more formal and introducing ourselves when we come on. Of course, I'm 3-time world champion Mike Long, and I've got a terrific cast of terrific characters with me here today. We started updating this book. This book was beloved. It was primarily planned by David, where he would give me seed content, and I would expand on that seed content with examples from my Magic career. We'd work together and use this system. It's kind of funny. I was listening to some music on the radio on my way over here, and "We Can't Stop" came on, which by Miley Cyrus. And David and I both really like this song. There's this great line in the song: "We run things, things don't run we. Don't take nothing from nobody." That's the line. We run things, things don't run we. Don't take nothing from nobody. So what's that about? Why do we like that so much? So we run things. But how, like, everyone wants to feel like they're in control, but you can't really be in control without shortcuts. Because otherwise the world runs you. That's really what happens in practice. And so with that introduction, what I'm going to do for this format, I want to take the updating of this Magic Secrets book. We created it in 2003. We built our Magic Secrets movement around it. People are incredibly successful with that. And we wanted to make that available for you right now, but in an updated form. We actually sort of updated it once with Patrick Chapin, which is really cool. And we did Next Level Magic with him and Star City Games all the way back in 2008-ish. And very successful. That got to a lot of people. But again, it's been a long time since then, almost 20 years. And so what I wanted to do, even, of course, before updating the book, was get up to date with Magic myself. I think we've we've clearly done that. And then do a great job of updating the book. Now, I did sort of a first session with Lawrence and Bryn. I was really, really pleased with it. What I decided that I'm going to do to really make this so valuable and to sort of milk it for all it's worth, but genuinely valuable, is look at each section through kind of a number of different lenses. So I'm going to look to continue to do private sessions with Lawrence and Bryn, probably about once a week, while we're unpacking things, so long as their time is available. Of course, if they have to take a week off or whatever, that's fine. And then I'm also going to look to then come back on the Magic Secrets show and reflect back some of what we talked about, talk about some new stuff. So that way we're kind of getting a double dose of it. And I'm actually planning on getting with the guys who are involved in the OMG program and actually examining some of the features, not all of them. Of course, some things, would be, wouldn't make as much sense, but some of the features of the Magic Secrets book through the lens of money getting and through the lens of doing a great job for your brand and helping other people with their brands. And so, I'll be looking to really kind of give a number of thorough takes on things. We'll look to make those takes available to you through a number of different forms. Of course, there'll ultimately be a written update to the book. What I'll probably do is do all the sessions and then go back and pull together the parts that we think are the most pertinent and the ones that best reflect a kind of an updated 2026 MTG Secrets book. But then also make a lot of that source material, maybe all of it, available to you, through expanded content and so forth, maybe on the YouTube channel. But we'll look to really make it available, and of course, on the website. The vision for the forum continues to really expand as well, by the way, as this all happens. So, guys, are you able to see David's intro? Is that what's showing on your screen?
Yes.
It is. Great. All right, great. So, this is David's introduction. I kind of read the whole thing when I did things with Lawrence and Bryn. I'm not going to reread the entire thing for everybody here, but I am going to zoom in on certain features of what David said, and I'm going to read his entire introduction. I'm writing this introduction after we finished the rest of the manual. We're very pleased with how things have turned out. Mike and I have both learned far more than we expected through the creation of MTG Secrets. Chapter after chapter, you're going to be introduced to concepts, strategies, and formulas and distinctions that you've almost certainly never seen before in the Magic arena. I always teach on 3 levels rather than the usual 1. Of course, I give explicit instructions and strategies to follow, but that's only part. Secondly, I also teach implicitly and subliminally so that as you read, your perspective and ideas regarding the subject change automatically, so smarter behavior flows automatically. Third, I also seek to plant seeds of ideas so that if you choose to, you can build on them yourself. Whenever I say something like take note, this is about a core principle. Then if you want to take that idea and run with it, you can think about it, about how to apply it, and how to follow up on the principles in the past that may have made things, different. Figure out what's changed. This will give you the opportunity to put your own effort and excel past people who merely read the guide without creating this extra understanding. So that's David's introduction. And then I'll get into things. And David's really extraordinary as a teacher. So he gets into analysis. I'm going to read the first page or so verbatim, and then I'm going to a little bit summarize more from there. So what is the core principle around all other Magic strategy revolves? So I'll say that one more time more clearly. What is the core principle around which all other Magic strategy revolves? What's the core principle, right? So David's analysis. Our primary objective with Magic Secrets is to win matches. Also, we'd like to enjoy ourselves, enjoy hanging out with others, and maybe make a buck or two thousand. In Magic Play, construction and draft, we're often faced with several options, many of which have nearly unlimited potential consequences. Yet, of course, we have limited awareness. This creates a bottleneck, a difference between the information that we can handle at any particular moment versus all the information we wish we could handle. Imagine you're drafting and you have to choose between a Spined Worm, which is a 5/4 creature, pretty vanilla, for a green and 4 colorless mana, or a Gorilla Chieftain, which costs 2 green and 2 colorless for a 3/3 creature, and for a green and a colorless you can regenerate it. Ideally, you'd be able to stop time for a month while you play tested 2 identical decks, except that one had a Spined Worm and the other had Chieftain. Hundreds of hundreds of times against other various possible draft decks until you can be certain which pick would be better in your particular deck, given your particular draft situation and that particular table. Instead, you have 15 seconds to choose. Quite a bottleneck. Magic, then, like life, comes down to having accurate, systematized shortcuts in place to help you optimize complex decisions in a short amount of time. He who has more and better shortcuts usually wins at Magic. There are various sorts of shortcuts, and we'll cover all of our bases in Magic Secrets. The following are a few examples, which will be mentioned later. There are shortcuts to mindset and mind games, attitudes and mental pictures of self-talk, mood, rapport, and conversation with opponents, and even how you sit in your chair that will cause you to make better decisions. For example, top-notch Magic players have the belief that they will probably win unless they get unlucky. This belief keeps them from two types of misplay, fear-based ones and blind arrogance-based ones. Even though the belief might seem like a rather arrogant, that the idea that their opponent could get lucky keeps them on their toes. But the idea that only bad luck will stop them drives them to consistently look for ways to win rather than to resign themselves to defeat. This belief is not necessarily the perfect one, but it's a decent shortcut to compare to a mindset of less effective players. Okay, so I'm going to delve a little bit deeper into this in a moment, but first I'm going to kind of high level the rest of what David said. I'll finish reading this passage and then go into the high level what he's saying on deck construction. I am very practiced with spotting and using what are called implicit communication, which makes me very good with reading my opponent's mind and hand and with influencing them slightly and avoiding getting mind tricked. And it's crucial when dealing with the opposite sex, part 2, chapter 5. Mind game strategies, when properly used to understand, as opposed to weak elementary reverse psychology and blatant lies that most players try to use, can be especially key when dealing with counterspells or other difficult make decision situations, especially when combining with effective probability estimation and a knowledge of the cards in field, for which we'll get into proper card representation, which is part 1, chapter 3. So anyways, we'll get into that as it goes. Again, there's proper strategies, proper shortcuts for mindset and mind games. That's what David's saying here. Then he gets into that there are shortcuts for deck construction, right? Gets into some of those. Let's see. What does he say about that? Well, anyways, he points out that there's shortcuts for deck construction, drafting, there's shortcuts to play, shortcuts to trading cards, and so on. David went pretty in depth on an example of a shortcut for mindset there. When I met with Lawrence and Bryn, I got together with them. I talked about various shortcuts for playing, like various strategies for mulligans. For example, if I pull up, let me jump over to the real Magic world. Yes, the different Magic world. So let me go to, to Magic the Gathering here. So for example, I'm over on Arena. Then this deck, I almost never mulligan. This is it's a weird deck, but I mean I just really rarely mulligan. I only mulligan if actually there's one change I would definitely make. This deck definitely needs a forest. Okay, so I hardly ever mulligan with this deck. I want to see this deck. I was talking to the guys about this earlier, and there's different ways of representing decks that are going to help you kind of understand things better. So what I'm going to do is split this deck up between kind of mana and mana acceleration cards, and then I'm going to group together action cards, or what I call gas cards. Okay, so let me move all the lands at once. Okay. So these are all the cards in Atlantis Shuffle, a deck I've been focusing on a lot recently, and that Bryn made was top 33 with last season. He's been as high as top 300 already this season with it. And the season's just 1 month. So these are all cards that directly impact on Magic or on mana or at least very, very nearly indirectly. So the Mockingbird can copy 10 creatures that can, affect your mana situation. So I'm putting it in with the other mana cards, and then we have Springleaf Drum, which is also a mana accelerator. The other cards I have here are Llanowar Elf, Gene Pollinator, and Send-Out Scout. Send-Out Scout, it's not that likely to get you land, but it's about a 1 in 4 chance of or maybe 1 in 3 chance of getting you a land, maybe 1 in 4. So it has some bearing on things, and once you start copying them and so forth, it's much more likely. And of course, then we have Badgermore Cubs. So with this deck, you have 16 lands that all produce green mana. These 10, I wouldn't consider these for mana, but as long as I have one of 16 land, and then at least one of these guys here, okay. For a Springleaf Drum, would I go with just a Springleaf Drum? No, I'd want a little bit more, maybe like a Springleaf Drum and a Send-Out Scout, or at least a Springleaf Drum and a Mindspring Merfolk, right? Something that I can kind of use it with to get to 2 mana, right? But besides that, I'm pretty much going to keep the hand, like unless it's totally flooded. I mean, even if it's, it would have to be like all lands, which almost can't happen with you having 16 lands. So I really don't mulligan almost anything else. And so what I'm thinking about in terms of my mulligan rules with this deck, are some of those factors I was explaining to you. And then these are sort of the gas cards that are going to help us get out of things. We get so much card economy out of Drunith, which also goes by Jackal in the real world. And then tons of card economy out of Mr. Green, tons of card economy out of Fell, who we call our DJ Michael. And then here, Mindspring Merfolk, I drew 10 cards with him in a game yesterday, or 15 cards, one time or whatever. You can, it can really get outrageous with the Mindspring Merfolk. So I started things by saying, and kind of typically the way we do this podcast is I'll do a monologue. Now I'm during this Magic Secrets phase, I'm going to lengthen my monologue to around 30 minutes. And then we're going to go to working on the blog with Smitty and Bryn and such. Also, I need to make Smitty a panelist. Smitty is, of course, on it. Figured he would be, thank goodness. Of course, I always count on Smitty being on. It makes a 9-day difference. So anyways, I'm planning on kicking things more over to you guys in about 12 minutes, in about that 12-minute mark. Because again, I wanted to get into Magic Secrets, talk about it more than I had leave some time for discussion. Lawrence and Bryn both spent some time with me looking at the previous section, and so on. So that's an example of a shortcut. There was one time when Bryn was losing with this particularly fast red-white deck I had, and I told him, if your opening hand doesn't kill your opponent by, what was it, turn 4 or maybe turn 5, then throw it away. Like, assuming that you have no resistance, then your opponent should die by turn 4-ish, turn 4 or 5, and otherwise throw it away. Bryn, what happened? What was your play like before that rule, and what was your play like after that rule?
Great question. Play before the rule was 50-50, so I win 1, lose 1, or I'd win 2, lose 2. Loss was always around the corner. And after the mulligan rule, I think I went to top 100, like 113, 123 in Mythic. So stark difference.
So it must have been very high. It must have been 65 or 70%. You obviously can literally never get to Mythic. You could play infinite number of games and never get to Mythic playing at a 50% ratio. You get to Mythic, but I don't know if you get to top 100. Just through certain spikes of luck and this and that, you'd eventually get there. So again, that's a shortcut. And again, the shortcut wasn't about believing in yourself more. It wasn't a different shortcut, right? It was a very specific shortcut. And that's what we try to do. We try to identify. And so when I say we run things don't run we, it's like when our lives are shortcut based, and either what we're doing is at a given time looking for shortcuts or looking to apply shortcuts, looking to reevaluate our current shortcuts if a premise change, especially, right? Like when new sets come out, okay, then a lot of our premises are going to shift and so on. And you know, that's going to help us be just massively more effective as opposed to the you know, throwing spaghetti against the wall. Smitty, I believe I've got you on. Let me double check before I go too deep, but I wanted to ask you a couple questions that relate to relationship advice and PUA stuff. I saw your volume click on, so I know you're on. So again, we saw this with Area 51 Lifestyle, where we got over 1,000 testimonials from a lot of guys who had a lot of struggles with the opposite sex. And can you talk about some of the shortcuts, maybe one shortcut that just jumps out in your mind that either you learned from Mystery or David, either one, and you know, just some scenarios where that mattered?
Yeah, so I guess we did learn a lot from Mystery, and I guess one of my favorites was peacocking.
Okay.
And just like I had this ridiculous dragon shirt with those Dolce & Gabbana jeans that also
yeah,
have dragon on them. There's lots of turquoise and white, and then you throw in like the trucker hat that's turquoise.
Yeah, the Von Dutch trucker hat. Yeah, that looked great.
It was an era for sure, and I never lacked attention.
Ever, right?
You know, you'd constantly get like, oh, I like your hat, your shirt, your beard,
Yeah.
your jeans, all that. And that was a massive shortcut because it's you know, it's a whole lot. I'm not particularly shy, you know, but it's a whole lot easier when the fish jumps in the boat than when you have to go look in the ocean.
Well, and the reality is, it's just like what David was saying. You only have so much energy and so much time. Why would you waste it? You know, like why would you waste so much energy when you can just jump out in somebody's eyes, right? So one of the things is that you and I, you know, particularly would like look a particular way, and we just always had attention, just always, and it just like it makes it so you're sledding downhill. It doesn't mean that. It just means that everything you do goes further. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, sledding downhill. It's you might still run into the moguls. You know, I've fumbled on the goal line more than I'd like to admit, but if you take the shortcuts, of which there are plenty, like the peacocking, or you know, like you really don't.
And it really matters. One of the things that we do with OMG these days is we have people build you know, their agency website, and very well, where it's going to be attractive on Google and get its own traffic. And I want those agency websites. I want these guys and gals looking like $1 million on their website. You know, so what we were just talking about, PUA stuff, absolutely matters when it comes to business, when it comes to life. By the way, Adam, our beloved Adam, who's on the show with us right now, he has a great look. I walked right up to him at one of the Magic events, and that's a great thing. How you doing, Adam?
Doing great, Mike.
Yep. Adam always turns out he's got a little bit of a noise buzz. Okay, so again with these shortcuts, and again these shortcuts often and by the way, so this morning I got some videos that Eric, you know, who's in OMG, and I forwarded him. I don't know if you saw him, Brandon. I don't know if you saw him yet, Lawrence, but I forwarded him to you. And when you saw those, you know, as Smitty was just talking about the kind of reactions he would get as you saw those videos, and we're working on the branding and stuff. You know, what was your experience of things?
Are you asking me, or?
I'm asking Brendan Lawrence. You haven't seen it yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been fair.
Yeah, for me, it looked extremely polished. It was what I would expect to see from someone who was going to do like a great job. So it stands out.
Yeah, so it's a guy wearing a suit, slow motion with faded background picture of him in office. He's picking up his phone. He's making some important call. right? You just felt confidence, like, man, this guy, right? And you wanted it for yourself, right? Of course we're gonna
Oh,
make
yeah.
that for you. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course we're gonna make that for you. You see? So there's shortcuts, right? And so I wanted to get into that. Uh, for you two guys, you spent the whole hour with me. This last week we did an intense session talking about that first part and about shortcuts. Were there any feedback or questions that you guys had from that time? Not to put you on the spot.
For me, only I want more of it. So I remember in 2015 when I joined OMG, I scrolled past one of David's sections he had, and I clicked in, and I was like, I mentioned this to Lawrence before and to Jeremy probably also, whereas like I was listening to this guy that at that time I didn't know, and he was talking English, but that was about it. Like I didn't understand any of it, and I mean now probably 5,000 hours in, 10,000 hours in, it's like I just want more. So I'm very happy that I was on. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Great. I'm glad to hear that. That's good reinforcement. And this is it's fascinating because was one of David's first information products, but it was so successful. And it gave us so much momentum going into StomperNet and Area 51 Lifestyle that we did with Smitty, right? Because we had helped so many people in magic, we'd helped so many people then in business and then in relationship advice, and now of course we're kind of ready for this magnum opus era where we're really able to look to flip world philosophy and help people really understand about the most important shortcuts to philosophy, like understanding personal property and understanding how to respect it and how incredibly attractive respect for personal property makes you. It's one of the things that Smitty is incredible at. The people that are most important to me know that Smitty would be one of the very few people that you could really, really trust in a pitch. And that's again has to do with this tremendous respect for personal property as a savant level. Okay, great. So we dug into the Magic Secrets Guide. I also talked about some of the Mulligan rules. Now this week, I'll tell you just as a sneak peek of what I'll talk about when I kind of rejoin things. I really like to. We have so much discussion, robust discussion, and excitement throughout the week in the group. The group is now the seed for what's going to become the forum, but it's a WhatsApp group right now. And I really wanted to make sure we weren't driving past those things, so we created a blog and we created a whole lengthy segment on the show where Smitty and Bryn and Lawrence and the guys, we got Tokyo Gary on today, Adam's on today, can really speak without any chance of being overshadowed by me. But I spent a long time this week trying to properly represent Professor Delin Feld. I'll tell you that. And that has to do with a number of shortcuts that I've applied, right? The shortcut of knowing about evaluating gold cards and really giving them extra emphasis. The ultimate deck shortcut that I'll talk about with you guys much more throughout the Magic Secrets Guide, where we really hone in on certain decks and get better and better at them and try to stack those gains wherever we can and so on. And I'm really impressed with Professor Feld. I did try 4 of them. It was too many. I felt like I kept drawing Professor Feld. That's the one problem, is you don't want to, draw an extra card and draw an extra Professor Feld. And he's not that good to pop a second one down. Just 4 mana for, 1 more card and kind of like want to have the backup in your hand. But anyways, really explosive. I think that we'll probably wind up with 1 or 2 in the main deck, and we'll find out from here. But these are, I'm showing you different perspectives. I'm showing you different ways of this. Like Smitty said, we've got this covered. There's lots of shortcuts. We really know this stuff. We got some relationship advice shortcuts, which I really liked. When we do the business segment of this, I may try to see here and there if I could track Smitty down for some segments where we'll be dedicated more to talking about relationship advice as well. I think Smitty helped really kind of cover that terrific today with his segment, so that that happened. But maybe a lot of what I'll do, at least when we have Smitty on the show, is ask him for some to share with you some relationship advice perspective. I could do it, but hearing from Smitty, I think, has an extra edge to it. And Smitty has a lot of experiences that I don't have. A lot of things he's figured out that I don't know, and things that when Smitty and I were in field that I would totally rely on Smitty. He's awesome. So amazing. Okay, guys, that was a terrific opening segment. I want to bring things over to Bryn to look at the blog. We sort of drove past an enormous amount of preparation that Smitty did last week. He had 100 matches, and we finally got Tokyo Gary on the show. We haven't had him on for a few episodes, so we want to update with Tokyo Gary. We want to hear what's been going on for the last month or so since we've had him on the show. He's in Indonesia today, traveling the Magic World. And so great to have Tokyo Gary, and then Bryn and Smitty can go over the blog, can go over anything that they want to. And I'll be back in 30 minutes to help wrap up the show with a bang. Of course, I'll talk about more about Magic.
Hey, Bryn, can we do something real quick before we go into the blog?
Yo, yeah. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I want Gary to tell me what cards he thinks are going to get banned. As I'm sure he's make sure his microphone's on. Because I don't see him now. Well,
you, Gary? Oh, he dropped off. I'll put him back on. His mic, his service dropped off, and now he's back.
I think it's something we're all interested in, and I imagine Gary's quite in tune.
Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry about that.
Perfectly fine.
Yep.
It's all good. We got you now. So I've been thinking about the upcoming bannings, and I imagine you are a guy who's quite in tune with those thoughts. I'll run through a few cards and let me know what you think. Storm Chaser's Talent.
I definitely, overall, what I've experienced in the last month with the Philippines and now today in Indonesia, I still think Storm Chaser's Talent is a potential one just because of the interaction of how well it works with Boomerang Basics. It's consistent to where, if you're on the play, turn 1 Storm Chaser Talent, turn 2 Boomerang Basics, pick it up, Prowess Trigger, replay Storm Chaser's Talent. It's constantly swinging in for 3. Nothing's really blocking and surviving a 3/3 otter on turn 2. It's something I definitely see on the radar. Not sure if it's going to hit this well because of the representation of the Spotlight in the UK plus the Pro Tour, but we'll see because the banning is about 10 days before the Spotlight Chiba. So how I see it, if there is a banning in Standard, it's definitely going to shake up Standard before Chiba for sure.
All right, next up, Earthbender's Ascension.
I don't really see, there's potential ways to get rid of Earthbender's Ascension. A lot, now that Black actually has a lot of enchantment removal, it's not that busted. I think the more I'm waiting for another card that you're going to probably bring up, and I'll probably talk about that.
I would never bring up that. That's going to be the last one. So we'll keep going for now. All right, Mike
Okay.
Harmonizer.
Did you just say Harmonizer?
Yeah.
Yeah, Harmonizer definitely. The reason why I say Harmonizer is definitely on the radar is because of now the new card with Erode, just how well it interacts with Earthbending. When you kill an Earthbend creature with Erode on your side, not only does it now let you search for a mana, but then you get another mana because of the landfall or the Earthbend trigger. So it hits twice. I was actually a victim of it tonight during a Storm Championship that I actually played with, where it's like he warps in Harmonizer, and he has Ice Tilt on the field, and then he's able to do Fable Passage. Now, mind you, they maintain priority. So, I mean, if you can't kill, normally what happens is like the best one with Harmonizer is like Leatherhead. If you have Leatherhead and then Harmonizer, you maintain priority with Fable Passage, and that Leatherhead's going to get huge for sure.
Yeah, he's a beautiful thing with the Harmonizer. And when you say they get double, it seems like they get eightfold when they erode you. They don't actually get eightfold, but it just seems like, oh, well, all right, shit, never mind.
But again, though, like you
Sorry
said,
for
though,
trying.
with the eightfold is like that fabled passage. Go searches for that plains. That plains now hits the erode. The erode hits the earthbend creature. Leatherhead's huge
Yeah.
with trample.
Yeah. Leatherneck is such a beauty. In that deck. All right. Any bounce cards? You think? You think they're gonna take another look at like bounce off, get out, into the flood maw, boomerang basics?
To be honest, the like I said, it's I don't think there's anything wrong with any of those. The boomerang basics interaction with Storm Chaser's talent is incredibly like you want to bounce your own stuff. Like so
Yeah.
it's like okay, I'll bounce that and I'll replay it and I'll draw cards.
This town ain't big enough. Reminiscent. Yeah. All right. How about sleight of hand or opt?
I think both are fine. Um, the I don't really see any of the spelemental decks being hit with anything. Um, just because there's so much like when I was playing Boros Dragons, like I would slam down a rest in peace just to make sure that the Heath Elemental and the Crab is now like not being played. They're Heath Elemental's 5-drop, Crab's a 7-drop, Sunderflock's not coming down. So it's just like between Rest in Peace and say like Soul Guide Lantern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our guy Brand has been delving deep down that graveyard hate path. All right, and then of course Cub. I don't think they're going to ban Cub.
I don't think Cub's gonna get banned because it's like again, Clarion Conqueror turns off Cub. I mean, and then like the Momo deck is still the Momo deck. I don't even think is even playing Clarion in the main deck, but it always has it always has ways of changing it. They could change some stuff out of the sideboard into the main deck. Like the 2/3 Sage is so powerful against prowess. Where it's like they're like Springleaf Drum, tap Momo, play Sage. Now it's they get 2/3 flying with lifelink against prowess, super relevant. But then it's like out of the sideboard they have Clarion to turn off Cub.
It's gangster. The blend I'm seeing right now is like kind of the Momo and the Tempo.
Yeah,
Like
it's literally the blue-white tempo deck that was running around with Aang, with High Noons and stuff, and then mixing it with Momo. Daydream is not on my list this time around, but the next banning when we get into like the August, September kind of thing, if it gets too crazy where it's like turn 1 Momo, turn 2, they could play the Springleaf Drum, tap the Momo, warp Riddler, then play Daydreaming. Now there's a Riddler and a Springleaf Drum on the Riddler, so now Riddler gets Daydreamed, blinks, you draw 2 cards, and it's a 5/7,
yeah,
on turn 2.
that's the deck I least want to see when I'm playing my baby Harmonizer. Like that deck just crushes me. I think I've beaten it like twice. Out of probably 10 games. So yeah, all right. Well, that's all. Those were all of my thoughts on potential bannings. I don't know if you have any additional cards in mind.
Like I said, the biggest ones is like Harmonizer because of the landfall interaction. I mean, they also still have the Hydra as well, so it's not like you're taking the deck completely off the radar. You're just getting rid of
Almost.
yeah, almost, but the landfall interactions.
No Harmonizer.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the Harmonizer's landfall trigger, the mechanic of landfall is you can't really interact with lands. Like that's the thing. It's like one of the things that you can't interact with in Magic. It's almost to the point where it's like we need a stifle, where you would stifle Fable Passage and it would just counter. But we don't have that in Magic right now in Standard.
Yeah.
But like Yeah. So
No,
it's more of the
I'm in
mechanic,
agreement
not
that it
not.
might get banned. I'm in agreement that it might get banned. But what I think will happen is landfall, as we know it, will just be gone. It'll be dead without harmonizer.
I think like, and I've talked to Feeney about this. I think if you were to ban like Eddie Merc crab, that would take out spelementals. That was in another agreement with that. Is now that Prowess is actually diving into Eddie Merc crab. Like Eddie Merc crab is now actually going into other decks.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
You see it in prowess all the time now.
Yeah, and and that's where Doorkeeper Thrall is nice, and then Torpor Orb is also nice. Like I said, there's sideboard options for it, but it's like
Yeah.
another thing that we were talking about is we're gonna go to big standard, and we haven't had a big standard since I want to say 2016, where it's like we have
Oh no.
standard. So the thing is standard might actually become almost like modern, where it's like you're going to have to focus on your deck. Like there's just going to be matches you're just not going to win. You can't
Yeah,
you
I
can't
mean,
prepare for everything.
with the harmonizer, I literally put no less than 4 torpor orbs in the board. And I have 4 because I'm just like tired of losing to spelementals, and the tempo deck, and it's just like, all right, if you can beat this, good luck. I mean, they can still beat you, but it gives me a reasonable chance against the tempo and the spelementals. I think your mic died, Gary.
Let's see. Can we hear Gary still?
I don't
No,
hear
I
him
think
either.
I cannot hear him.
same.
I do not hear him.
Same.
Let's
I think he might have dropped off with the internet.
somebody call the president of Indonesia and tell him their internet needs to be better.
That's gonna be me.
Hey Smitty, hot take. Llanowar Elves banned.
Oh yeah, that's another one they talk about. I don't think they'll do it. I think they'll go after Earthbender Ascension, or maybe even Cub first. But yes, that's obvious. Yeah, that's one I had in my mind's eye, but I didn't have it on my list, so I forgot. I
Is
hope
that in
not.
the conversation? Like, are there like actual conversations in like forums
Oh,
and stuff
absolutely.
about really
Yeah.
about banning the elf?
Yeah.
People think it's possible. I mean, it's so silly to me. It's the same level of silliness that like banning Into the Floodmaw is. But I actually thought they might ban Into the Floodmaw at one point. But now like Bounce Off and Boomerang Basics and everything is just out there. And yeah, it's very strange to think that Elf or any of the bounce spells could actually get banned, but
Yeah.
it's fucking WotC. You never know. I don't think they want to ban the Cub because people have so much money invested in them.
Right. Including me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like looking at these 4 borderless foil Badger Moles. I'm being like,
Yeah.
do I want to cash them in for like $300 or do I want to fade the ban?
Yeah, great question. Maybe stack trade him before the ban, but who knows? Oh, this is
I
great
mean,
having
right
Gary.
now, if I would love to know the Vegas odds or what's on Kalshi for no changes, or them hitting Storm Chaser's Talent and Llanowar Elf or Cubs.
I believe it is
I would.
Oh,
I believe it is on Kalshi actually, and I believe it's 60% no change. If that's
and
correct.
40% is like a combination between those, like, or would be 40% any one of those?
I believe it's 60% no bans and 40% some bans.
Yeah,
So,
I would say that that's probably accurate, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to turn on my camera because I think it's probably pulling too much Wi-Fi from the hotel. So I'm just going to leave it on microphone.
Yeah.
Bryn's on the phone with the president of Indonesia trying to get you better internet.
Tell
Yeah.
me about it. It's
Yeah.
a struggle for sure.
One thing I forgot, Gary, that Adam pointed out is the blur about Llanowar Elf being banned.
It was speculated as well as Storm Chasers talent because it's one of those things where when you think about it, it's like how well does Mono Green or well now Selesnya Landfall need Llanowar Elf? Like it's one turn slower, but it has still all of its eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I look forward to seeing Landfall playing Moltender because I've cast a lot of Moltenders in my day.
Right?
Yeah. You want to see it?
I'm not saying it's a good strategy. I'm just saying I've cast a lot of Moltenders because I've played a lot of Reanimator. And the one thing about Reanimator, that's very interesting right now, is it got more cards and the hate's still there. And so I've been having a lot of fun with Vasseline Scavenger and Foggy Swamp Visions in 2 different decks. Krang from the new set is.
Yeah, the big artifact creature. Is it like a 9-mana colorless?
Yeah, he's flying, indestructible, haste, and trample.
Oh, Crane. Yeah, Crane.
He's an
From
absolute
Turtles.
beating in Reanimator. And even more so in the Foggy Visions deck because him and One Hoof basically can win the game. You might end up, like if in your worst case scenario, you might end up only doing 18. But normally
That's all you need when now we have all those shock lands. I mean,
Yeah.
there's been a point where in Modern there was a Hogak deck. They would put themselves down to like 15 just so they could have like an 8/8 on turn 2.
Which deck was that? Like the 13.
So there was a guy from Modern Horizons called Hogak, and it was
okay.
it was more of a graveyard infused. I mean, I think Adam was probably playing during that time as well. He could go like I played a little bit of that time. I took a break, but it's like they banned Hogak after that Modern tournament in Vegas.
Yeah, I remember the 13-13 guy where you played like Shockland, Thoughtseize.
Death Shadow.
Yes, that one. Yeah, I remember that guy. He was way better than he looked. Like people did some nasty shit with that card.
Oh, the funny thing is when you actually lightning bolt yourself to increase your death shadows, you know, it's like I'll lightning bolt myself. Both my death shadows now both get +3/+3. So now instead of 5/5s, they're like 8s.
Yeah, now in standard we have that guy too, to a smaller degree. With the Moon Shadow and all those shenanigans. But yeah, so I guess I don't know. I'm very curious about Cauldron of Essence. If anybody knows what that is, I'll be surprised. Besides Adam, since I brought it up to him directly.
That's the
From yesterday in the
Golgari
chat.
artifact. The Golgari artifact. Yeah, I pulled one of those out of the pre-release.
Yeah, that's the
so-
only reason it was on my radar was because I played it in the pre-release. I was like, maybe this is really good. I don't know. I haven't really gotten a chance to test it much yet, but it's an interesting card. And,
yeah, there's the guys that I played with today informed me of another Storm Championship today. Now that it's 2 a.m. my time, but they obviously want me to go out and play in that one because it's about 15 minutes away from where my hotel is, so I might take advantage of that. But I might actually play a different deck though. I'm looking into some other stuff too. The nice thing is I bought a whole bunch of stuff in America to bring overseas because I knew that in the Philippines and Indonesia, the card pool is limited based off of allocations. They just don't have enough supply for the demand over here. So trying to get cards over here is extremely difficult. So basically, you're like one of the biggest guys in the room if you actually have a meta deck, because some people can't even get the meta deck because they're missing cards due to, allocations, or there's not
Yeah,
enough
I
cards in
imagine
circulation.
I imagine a basic cub there is probably like $100.
Oh yeah, definitely in the Philippines. Indonesia, there was, I think, maybe like two, since this store championship that I played today, I think there was like 2 or 3 cub decks. 2, 3 cub decks, a Momo deck. Someone actually played allies. The black ally Mai, or May, however you want to say it. Whenever your opponent plays a non-creature spell, they take 2. Or whenever a player plays a non-creature spell, that player takes 2 damage. It was played in 5-color allies. I think that guy either got 3rd or 4th place. I don't know. I didn't stay around for top 4 because it was 11 players. Cut the top 4 for the Oculus.
Yeah,
But
I've lost to that card before.
yeah, she's incredibly powerful. Definitely against lessons for sure. In the Grand deck, it's like they have to use the actual like removal on her before they can do anything else.
Yeah, combustion technique is their only chance, right?
Yeah, because it's like you could I mean you could also protect it too if you take the 2 life and then play a protection spell on it. But I'm not really like familiar with the 75 of the ally deck. I mean, I know some of the allies, just not all of them, but I'm sure that there's protection spells. It's literally a 4-color deck, almost 5-color. I mean,
Yeah, it can be really fast. It can the Winter Storm Dingablings or whatever they are. Their 2 drops are like really, really powerful. Um in harmony with the deck. Speaking of harmony, I'm gonna shut up now. Let you guys see where you want to take it next.
Dude, this is great. I love this conversation. Love the questions in the beginning that you had for Gary. Love having Gary on. I know it's you mentioned Gary. It's 2 a.m. for you. I was talking to you before the show, and I was very happy to hear that you were staying up. So yeah, don't feel forced to, of course, but it's always great having you on. Yeah.
yeah. It seems like it's kind of hard with the time difference, but it's like I like being on the show. It's just the time difference. But I definitely want to see what's gonna happen in the next like 2 weeks. I'll be playing the Spotlight and Chiba, which is standard, at the end of this month. And then after Chiba, my focus is switching over to Modern. What we talked about this past week, or this past weekend, I qualified for an RCQ, so I'm gonna be playing in the Southeast Asia Championship, which is their RC thing, and then that's gonna be in Singapore in October, November timeline.
And that's a modern
So
tourney, right?
yes, so it feeds in my schedule of traveling around the world playing Magic. Brisbane in Australia is Modern. The week after that, I come back to America. There's Dallas, which is Modern. Then I go home for about a month, and then I go back overseas to play in Singapore. So
Somebody bring me a Modern deck to Dallas, please.
You're gonna go to Dallas, Smitty?
I might. My friend is moving to Texas, generally close to that area, and I'd love to go visit him, and then also play that tournament. And or just hang out and not play the tournament. It would be fine. But Modern's fun, and like it's such a weird format. It's possible. I'm also trying to swing getting out to Vegas in a couple weeks, but that's not looking as likely with my work schedule. whatnot. And so,
Is that about the same time as the WSOP?
yeah. So my buddy won a pretty good sized tournament out in California. It's like one of my best friends. And he's the one
Congratulations.
moving to Texas, and so he wants me to come out and hang out during World Series, and while he's there, and so like there's like a $600 no limit Omaha half tournament that would be like more in my budget range, and so I'm thinking about it. I don't know.
I like
Yeah,
it.
that team tournament.
At 3 a.m. So
Yeah, that spotlight for that is team sealed Marvel superheroes. So it's a 3-on-3 sealed into 3-on-3 draft for day 2 for 6 rounds into a 3-on-3 draft in the final or the top 8.
question, Gary, is Rochester draft still a thing, or is it all like regular draft?
So, I mean, essentially what happens is like 2 players sit on one side, 1 player sits on the other side when it's a 3-on-3 draft.
Are the cards face up or they're face down?
I want to say the cards are face down. Like it's not. It's been a while since I've done one.
Okay.
So the last team limited event that I know of, I think was Grand Prix Kyoto, and I was there, and that was sealed Theros. And what was nuts is like Alexander's Hain team got like 5 copies of Grey Merchant of Asphodel. So they had one guy play just mono black devotion, and then they jammed the other pool of cards into 2 other decks and was like, okay, this guy gets all the mono black cards. Every mono black card, artifact card, it goes in that deck, and then they played everything else, and it was nuts. Because it's like
I remember that format because that it was some kind of like affinity for color mechanic. I can't remember what it was called. And that black card you're talking about was the nuts.
yeah, and it was a common. So it's like if you got 5 copies, you're authorized to play all 5 copies in limited. You get to break the rule.
2/4, right?
It was a 2/4, yeah, for 5 mana.
That's the guy I'm
Black,
thinking.
black, 3 colorless. They call it also Gary, so it's like, yeah. So
It was a drain life or something, right? Like,
yeah, it's a drain and gain, based on your devotion to black.
yeah, it was a ridiculous card. It was I do recall having 2 or 3 of them in one draft deck and thinking like, oh, I can't lose. So anyways, cool beans. Anybody want to play Foggy Swamp Visions?
Yeah, you want me to start up Arena?
If you want to,
Can we start up Arena?
it'll be fun. Maybe we'll just get our
Hey
ass.
Gary, while they're starting that up, just wanted your thoughts as to what you might shift over to. Any thoughts about the Mardu discard deck or Momo white blue?
So I'm actually looking at the only thing that sucks about I would love to play Mardu discard, but I'm missing the flashback spell that's really relevant. I have everything else but the flashback spell, the practice offensive card. But Krim, the Asian Avenger, he posted a Boros list just today, or I would say yesterday, that I'm looking at, where it's like you're using Lord Hold Charm to your advantage of bringing back your 2-drops. So it's like bringing back Voice of Victory, bringing back. I was gonna pull up the list right now, but it's on MTG Goldfish. Krim Asian Avenger is his tag. But he posted a Boros deck that I might actually try and play for the Store Championship just to change it up, because Grixis Looting has its power, like turn 1 Moon Shadow into a turn 2 Coolbut Root into a turn Coolbut Root, swing with Moon Shadow, discard Oculus, then using Ral to reanimate Oculus on turn 3. It's a strong play, but it just hasn't been consistent for me on paper.
Do you have the equipment in that deck?
No, it's not. It's not required.
Yeah,
Thing
I,
is
I
that the
actually don't know
Grixis
that
list.
well, so I'm just asking.
Yeah,
Um,
the cool thing about the Grixis list is you have 3 Into the Flood malls, and the funny thing is talking about Into the Flood mall. That's the card that actually won me the RCQ was Into the Flood mall on a Primeval trigger stack where he plays Primeval Titan, trigger on the stack. I use Into the Flood Maul to bounce his amulet back to his hand, so the lands will actually not untap, so he can create a lot of mana. They just come into play untap because he had Splunking. So it's not like he could circulate all the mana. And then he had to get 3 mana instead of 4 because he had to Bajuka Bog my graveyard because he's at 1 and I have a guy that has flying. It's a Dragon Rage Channeler. It's a 1/1, but if you have Delirium, it's a 3/3 flyer. So that's what could kill him. So he had to get Bajuko Bog, exile my graveyard in another land, try to get a Boreal Grazer with Green Sun Zenith, and in response to him casting the Green Sun Zenith, I had the Spell Pierce and blocked his only other card to make him tap out, and then I had 2 attackers, and he's at 1. So that's how I won in game 3.
I just changed my mind. I don't want to play Modern anymore.
Yeah. So, but Into the Flood Mall, giving him a tap fish was super relevant because I got rid of Amulet off the on the stack.
Yeah, so for those that don't understand, Amulet Titan is one of the top 3 decks right now?
Yeah, let's just ramp in, get some double striking damage, and a lot of lands and toolbox.deck.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I would never want to play it because I would just go down in flames. Like I'd be so confused. I'm like, what do I do now?
So I really think that play testing in between rounds against one person who was actually playing Amulet Titan actually helped me understand the matchup a little bit better, which was nice because it was he's a guy who I met the night before at Store Championship, and he was nice enough to be like, "Oh, your place where you're staying at is like on my way home. I'll just give you a ride." So it's like made more friends, and that's what's awesome about the gathering.
I did
Is
a
just
lot of
all
testing. Yeah, I did a lot of testing in between rounds, just so you know. Like that, it was just
yeah.
very
So like
normal. It's a very
just
normal thing for me to do at tournaments, and it really can make a huge difference. I mean, where I take an early loss and just wanted to understand the deck better. It's actually a great shortcut, Gary. Very, very often, like people really undervalue that extra time spent testing.
Yeah, I wish we could
the
get Wagner on here sometime.
Yeah,
Yeah, the other thing
it'd be
that
great.
was funny about that top 4 or the top 8 into the top 4 because it was a double invite, so we didn't have to play the finals. Um, I had to play the mirror match in top 8, and I'm on the draw. And mutagenic growth for Phyrexian mana is insane, even now, because I made a 5/5 Dragon Rage Channeler on turn 2 when my opponent was swinging in with a Swift Spear, thinking that his Swift Spear was going to kill my DCR.
Savage.
You have mutagenic growth?
Yeah, so mutagenic growth is Phyrexian green mana in blue red
Yeah.
prowess, and you always pay 2 life to pump up your dude. But the cool thing is DCR does a surveil mechanic where it's like you'll surveil. So I had fetch land, bauble, sorcery, then mutagenic growth is an instant, so delirium. So now my DCR is 5/5 on turn 2, and then proceeds to start swinging 3/3 flying in the air. And the funny thing is that prowess player was finishing his matches a lot quicker than I was, and he was watching me throughout the Swiss. So then when he had to play against me, he didn't see the lines of plays that I saw. Hence the mutagenic growth blocking the DCR blocking Swift Spear, and then Mutagenic Growth. Then my turn, I Lava Dart his DCR because it's a 1/1, and I proceed to continue to swing for 3. And the nice thing is, like, at the end of the match, he's like, those were really great greens, and I learned a lot about my own deck because, again, he played the mirror match, and it goes back to what I was talking with Feeney. It's like, how well in Modern, it's like, how well do you know your deck? Like, your deck is what's going to matter because there's just so much, there's so many
Subtleties. I couldn't agree more. How well you
Well,
play.
and again, this is why one of the big shortcuts we'll get into when it comes to Magic Secrets is the ultimate deck strategy. Like really trying as much as you can to pick one deck and get good with that deck, and adapt to it.
The other one, and I think Mike and Smitty might actually enjoy this, is so Lightning Bolt is one of the strongest removal spells in the game of Magic, correct?
Of course.
Okay, my opponent, the blue-red prowess player, he decided to Lightning Bolt my DCR. So what I did was I surgical extractioned his Lightning Bolts. So now all the rest of my DCRs that were 3/3s, he could not kill my DCR 3/3s because all of his Lightning Bolts were gone. And I still had all my Lightning Bolts. And I'll pay 2 life all day to remove 12 damage out of your deck.
Surgical extraction is silly good sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, also, Slick Shot Show Off gets pumped up on a pay 2 life to add 2 extra, and that's another card in the Prowess deck that's amazing.
Yeah. Awesome.
But I miss you guys. I appreciate being on the show.
We miss you too. We miss you too. It's really something special to have Tokyo Gary come to the show. I want to point out, it's not just having Gary on, which in and of itself is so great, but Gary has brought so many members onto the show. Michael Finney, we got Michael Freeman, and other people that we've worked with. Smitty mentioned Wagner. They a lot of hanging out at the event. So Tokyo Gary is such a special guy. Very rarely you run into these people that are these maven types. Again, another shortcut in life. People that spend a lot of time getting networked and so forth, especially if you're in any sort of a networking situation. It's very, very easy to discount or to take for granted what they're doing. It's a big mistake. You don't want to take it for granted. We really appreciate it. So really, really glad it is so terrific on this Magic Secrets book edition of the show to be visited once again by Tokyo Gary. And really, Tokyo Gary, he brings so much energy to the show, to our group here, and we really appreciate having you on, man. Thanks so much for coming on, Gary.
Appreciate it, guys.
I was excited just to talk about bannings with him.
Oh yeah, that was.
I heard
great.
the banning talk. Yeah, that actually led me. So let me do this. Let me change the sharing, and that led me to a thought that I wanted to do. You guys discussing the banning led me to. We didn't look at the blog today, which I always want to look at the blog, but we'll get to it next time for sure. Let me go to the GoToWebinar launcher. Okay, great. Go to sharing. Share. Okay. So let's discuss what would happen if they were to ban as a nice ultimate deck concept. Let's discuss if they were to ban either Llanowar Elf and or Badger Mole Cub. Okay. So for this deck, first of all, would this deck fold without either of those 2 cards? I don't think so. I think that not Bryn, but Theory, wasn't Theory top 10 twice without Badger Mole Cub? Or was he using Cub? I can't remember.
I believe it was before Cub.
I think it was before Cub he actually was playing a list, but like he played it before Cub and made top.
Yeah, I mean he was still playing Drunith, of course. But I'm telling you, I don't think that Cub existed then. Okay, so
I think this was pre-Avatar, but post Spider-Man. It was pre-Avatar, post Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Yeah, because once you went from Imago to Drunith, and Royd, it was when it really changed.
Right. Drunith is like the guy who took control of the deck, and it really is more of a Drunith deck. I was actually thinking to myself, the only card that this deck really cares about not getting banned is Drunith. Okay, so it goes without saying, it's a little trite, but let's say it anyways. If Llanowar Elf gets banned, so I'll just take him out, then of course we're just gonna beef up the number of Springleaf Drums and play the full complements of Scouts, and it's not going to change the deck very much. Is it worse? I don't know. I mean, it's really going to be close. I'm telling you, Springleaf Drum is brutal into
So
because they can't
I
stop
have,
it. Go
I
ahead.
have a
Go ahead,
question
Chris.
about you don't build any mutagen tokens, right? You just have the one with Mikey. That's it, right? There's no other
Yeah,
mutagen growth.
yeah, because of course this is a much deeper deck, so we could go down further down that path. What were you going to say, Gary?
Well, because Mutagen Man, I still think Mutagen Man making map tokens and mutagen tokens for free is nuts.
What is he again?
He's green 2/3 with trample. He's green X, and he puts out X,
Let me
mutagen
try to find him.
tokens.
See, what's he called?
Yeah.
Oh, here we are. Mutagen Man. He's literally called Mutagen Man. 2/3. Activated token skills. Yeah, sure. And for that matter, I mean, so this deck has such depth that it's not a matter, it's not like barely getting over the edge with cards. It's like it's really hard to fit everything that we want, is more like it.
Right.
Because when you look at the legends, there's also there's another Ninja Turtle that's excellent.
How
For
many
the
times
deck.
have you done the charm with Overoid, making the Overoid's power 5/5?
Charm is just the bringer of death.
Like
Charm
I
is the
just I
bringer of
just
death.
want I
Because
just think about it in my head is
I'll
like
tell you
Overoid becomes 5 power and the
constantly.
whole team's
Yeah,
like +5/+5.
Yeah,
it
you're
happens a lot.
constantly doing that. And the other one is, I mean, you're just constantly just killing people with it. It's just 4 extra damage. And in a
Right.
deck of this tempo, that's just way too much. Right. So this guy as well, Mikey and Leo, Chaos and Order is another
Yeah,
card
just
that
to
can
be able
start.
to draw cards, yeah.
Yeah, we've played that guy all the time. It's so hard. Basically, once Quandrix's Charm hit, it's like the deck became like, God, this card is so good. It's so good. Now enchantments are unlocked. So okay, if now this is a big question though. If they axe Cub, let's say they axe Cub but not Elf. Okay, a little hard for me to imagine them axing Cub and Elf, but let's just say for the
Yeah.
sake of argument. Okay, so let's bring the elves back. So here's what's interesting is the real card that changes. Do you know what's going to change the biggest thing? What's the card that really needs the Cub?
Mindspring, probably.
Exactly. So this deck principle is really based on Mindspring Merfolk and terrorizing people with Tidebender, given that you're brutalizing people by drawing. Bryn, what's the most you've ever drawn with one Mindspring Merfolk?
15, like I saw somewhere in that range. Like,
Ridiculous.
Did
15
you
cards.
win that game?
Draw
yeah, probably.
25%.
A matter of fact, I had a game. I think it was this month where I think I had 2 Mind Springs, maybe 4 Cubs. I drew I don't know God how many cards, and I had a Repulsive Mutation and a Quandrix Charm that I drew that I used on the Mr. Green, and then I won.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, good luck.
That
Only
sounds like a
one
lot of
turn,
fun.
so yeah.
So yeah, so I would say the biggest thing is that's where we would hit a real redesign, not from the standpoint of us. I wouldn't say relying on the Cub in the same way. The deck really relies on Drunith for tempo, for example, or for tempo and card economy to break people's backs and so forth. Doesn't really rely on Cub for that. So if they were to axe Cub, not now, I find this fascinating. They axe Cub, not Elf. I mean, at that point, it doesn't really, maybe it matters if they axe Elf or not. I don't really know. What would I do? So I would go back over the archetypes, right? I'm not looking to make a snap decision that's fast. Because with the other scenario I'm telling you, I've played this deck a lot, it wouldn't change the deck that much. Brent, you've played enough of Springleaf Drum to know it wouldn't change the deck that much to lose the game.
Springleaf Drum is surprising.
It's really
like
terrifying. It's like a lot of times you win because they'll be sitting there. I know they'll pay 2 life so they can kill my
with like a
creature.
burn spell or a hex or something. You're like, yeah, let me
Yeah,
do
and they'll pay
Springleaf
2
Drum.
life
Good
for it, and
luck.
then you're like, okay, I'll play a drum, and they're sitting there
Yep.
with like the cloud over their head, like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
angry.
Here's
what would
hoping they
happen?
take talent and well, I don't really want them to take Harmonizer, but
I
if
don't
they
think
take
they're going to take it. I don't think they're going to take it. I mean, if anything, my guess is the Cub, but I don't think they're going to take him. We'll see. I don't imagine them wanting to take green cards. So here's the thing is, then I just don't know about Mind Spring. I mean, it really gets to the point where maybe we can still make Mind Spring work in a build like this. But I would definitely not play that one spider that you guys like. The
Leyline
red-green
Weaver?
spider. Leyline
Spider-
Weaver.
Spider Manifestation / Leyline Weaver, yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, there's no way I see myself playing this guy and being happy with it in this deck. It's just not enough. It's just not
I feel like
enough.
it just plays in a different deck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
In Smitty's.
So I'm not looking to
Smitty's
transfer
who?
over that way.
you don't have enough 4-drops in this deck. Oh, you need 4-drops to make Weaver good.
Really to make Weaver good, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So what I'm thinking is, but this is a really good mind exercise. I think it's very beneficial, very helpful. Because a card like Badger Mole Cub can blind you. Like, it's so good that it can blind you. Like, there may be 5 other decks that we could have been just annihilating people with Drunith in the blue-green area, but we're just unwilling to leave the Cub. And it's, even for a beatdown deck, Cub is so good because he's essentially 3 beatdown for 3 mana. So he's a crazy card. It's almost unimaginable not to play with him. But at the same time, we had more aggressive builds earlier. We used to play the Rabbit, right? I mean, he's nobody's friend, whatever he's called. Paw Patch Fruit. So there's other builds of it out there. What we do with Drunith is we're looking for there's a shell that's like, what does it look like? The Scout is not necessarily part of the shell. I would say the Professor is not necessarily part of it. The Tiebinder, I would say, is not necessarily part of it, but I feel really naked without him. It's a little hard to imagine life without him, but I could see it. Like, for example, there's a different merfolk that we don't play a lot of, that Smitty loves, that I love, Sentinel, the Nameless City. This guy's a real terrorist in this deck, for example, so he could be played. But again, if we go away from merfolk, see, if you look at this, at cards kind of this way, let me move.
Talking about the Sentinel?
The Sentinel? What do you mean?
The Nameless City with the map token.
Yeah, Nameless City. Yeah, the Sentinel, the Nameless City. That's what I was talking about. But anyways, my point is, if these cards over here are just out of the way, like, let's just take them out of the deck altogether, okay? This here is probably about the core of the deck that I want to play. It's a little hard for me to imagine. No, I wouldn't play this deck without 1 or 2 Michelangelo. It's just too stupid because he's so broken with Mr. Green.
Yep.
It's just so outrageous. Like, on his own, he's break the game on his own for sure. But with Mr. Green, he's just outrageous. So
how many times have you made him a copy with Drunith since he's only a 2-drop?
Oh, man, he's one of the best copies to make. Because when you do that, you can start mockingbirding, and you do. You can start mockingbirding the token.
Yeah, because then you can mockingbird the non-legendary.
Really ugly. And then you have a Drunith around, right? So you start piling the tokens off Drunith. And she's like a 16. Trample, of course. I don't know why they made him a trample. They're like, one less.
I think they forget about that. Is like Drunith actually has trample.
So crazy.
It's like someone was like trying to block Moonshadow, and I'm like, Moonshadow has menace. Like,
Right.
oh shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You're
that
like,
happens
it
all
has
the time.
so many more words on this card.
They
So
forget
okay,
about they forget about little things like that. Like Dan pointed out about Drunith having trample is ridiculous, which it is. And Moonshadow Menace, and then like when I've been playing Krang recently, it's been targeted by Erode.
what's Krang?
Oh yeah, the Crane, the artifact that's like haste, flying, indestructible,
Yeah,
the
colorless.
9-drop. The
What is it?
9-drop.
I've had multiple.
Oh,
Yeah,
there.
there he is.
I don't even know
I've
what
had
it is.
multiple people target this card with like Bitter Triumph and Erode. I'm just like,
Oh yeah,
reminds me of Sheltered by Ghosts on Ivy.
Oh,
funny.
They're
That's
just very
funny.
sad. There's one game where they would have had, I would not have won that turn, and they would have had a decent chance if they had eroded my Craterhoof Behemoth rather than, Katam.
Pretty.
Now we're talking about like a situation where they're like probably in trouble anyway, but like they wouldn't have died, and they would have had playback.
Yeah, that
But
totally
they
makes
just
sense.
like, oh, let's erode this guy, because they'd probably never seen it before.
Yeah, well, and that's a lot of what happens. And again, that's like this ultimate deck idea that David had, even when the cards were much more narrow, was very valid. But now that things are so much more wide open and there's so many more cards no matter what, I mean, you're way better off, trying to stick to one deck. Okay, so here's how this build, like the Isengard Shuffle build, Drewski's deck. So you're a tempo deck now with counter magic inherent because Quandrix Charm is so outrageous and works so well with Mr. Green. You have all this acceleration that all doubles up with Mr. Green, so that all works. So now there's different branches. You can play sort of a best cards build. Probably the first thing I would think of would be Batman, the Batman build. With this guy.
Cecil and Bats.
Yeah, Cecil and Deep Caravan Bat would probably be the very first thing I would test. And then, of course, that would work well with Bell, right? And I wouldn't need too much black to make that work well. Where's Bell? Here he is. Okay. So this, for example, I mean, obviously it would have more cards in this, but something along the lines of this build here, a couple black lands in there. We don't need the double blue anymore, right? So
With,
something like, what's that?
With Cecil, I think you want to bring back, with this build and with Cecil, I think you want to bring back the mutation.
The counter, is it Simic with the X where it gets count and then what its power is?
Yeah, it's Hell from Beyond and a counterspell.
Yeah, of course, and having Deep Caravan Bats, I mean, it can really get way over the top. Okay, so now you've got about 10 cards to flesh out. Obviously, you can play a couple of Cecils, could play a couple of Professor Bells. At that point, I'm far more likely, like I said, to do something like the Rabbit. I have a deep amount of respect for this guy. Plus, he gives us sort of an inherent 3-drop that we'd be missing otherwise. One card I want to play. I don't know why we've never played this guy. Why we never played from Guns N' Roses, good old Slash. I don't know why he's never been in this deck. Is there an obvious reason? This may be his time if Cub goes out. Smitty?
I don't have a strong opinion on that. I haven't done it. He's quite the beast.
Because he would help us so much with the inherent issues of the deck, board wipes. Just
okay. So here's a big thing, right? And Bryn and you will know this, Mike. How many people are still playing Shoot the Sheriff? Because if people are still playing Shoot the Sheriff, the slasher is really good because it's an assassin. He's an outlaw.
Well, the other thing is, guys, Slasher in our deck, Slasher in somebody else's deck is one thing. Flash in our deck is something else because of
Mockingbird
and
get
Mockingbird.
4 slashers sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you send in a whole brigade of them.
I'd like to address Gary's point here. If you're playing Shoot the Sheriff these days, I want to beat you in the head with my bitter triumph.
Well,
I do see it. I do see
that
it.
actually
Like,
brings up
yeah.
something else that we might want to play in this deck with a Bloom Charm.
Yeah, Charm's good.
And again, this is something that now, like, look at this deck. Does Badger Mole Cub fit this deck? You know, it's yes in the sense that it's a freaking fantastic card, but not necessarily. Maybe, you know, it might be better than other cards, but it might not be as important, right? I would definitely play some amount of with a Bloom Charm, maybe a couple. I don't know.
Sirach could also make a return in this version.
Who's Sirach?
Oh
yeah, you love that guy, the Green Legend guy. Yeah. He was in early versions and was great.
He would play nicer with Drunith in this build.
Yeah, because you're drawing cards because they're getting targeted.
Yeah.
Well, also because like you have more, 2-drops to ramp into to counter to copy your slasher and your Sirach.
Yeah. Yeah, so that could be a good way to go. This deck really looks scary to me. I would not want to play against this deck in a dark alley.
He's such a beater because trample.
Yeah.
Another trampler.
Another trampler
with long text.
Yeah, right, exactly. So many cards. People just sort of give up at some point. They just tap out and
In Harmonizer right now, I'm playing a Baloth, a Sirach, a Leatherhead. As just natural tramplers, and people fuck up about all the time on it.
Right.
They're like, oh shit, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I'm dead. Please cast Taco.
It's hard to count. It is though. It really is. So this is an example of where you might go with a post Cub banning and take a screen cap. I mean, because then, boom, next day you do it, right? And that was a great mental exercise. I thought that was a really, really great way. And how did we do that? We did that with shortcuts. We've tested this deck a lot. We tested this deck both before and after, new sets have come out. We repeatedly mold over it and examine it. And we find new cards, by the way. I'm telling you. I know that we've tried Slasher before and he didn't fit. And by the way, probably I would still chicken out and play Tiebinder because I just feel so naked in this deck without Tiebinder. And then you do sometimes get that crazy Tiebinder thing.
Bryn just gave you a big hug.
Oh, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, Tidebinders. I talked with Smitty about it, and Smitty's like, what if we go from 4 Tidebinders to 3? I'm like, heresy, don't want to hear it. There's like one exception.
Yeah,
there was like one exception where we were looking.
There was like one exception. It's just all the time that people walk into dying to him. It's like his job.
Well, also if you have the big balls to just raw dog him out there and make him a 3/2 attacker.
Sometimes I do that with the Drunith, right?
I do it all the time. I mean, just like for tempo, of course. 3/2 flash. That's like your opponent. It's like it's known in racing. If you have to go first, you're at a disadvantage because the other person can know your time and beat your time.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing. Like when they don't know your time, they can't beat your time. So it's so much harder for them to calculate. And then you may have been covering a different path for them. You may have also had a Quandrix Charm up that was ready to take out some different card, right, under different circumstances or whatever. So there's different things that you could have been doing or whatever. When we have the Mindspring Merfolk in the current version, so we can have him untapped and say, hey, if you do something, I'm gonna Tiebind you or Quandrix Charm you. But if you don't, then I'm gonna draw 15 cards. At that point, you probably should just draw like 10 and then do something. But anyways, whatever. Okay, great episode, and I really appreciate this group all the more. As we're proceeding towards the forum, we're not looking to go out and get other people's content on our forum. That's not really what we're trying to do. If someone's a great publisher, they may wind up on our platform just based on trust and function and stuff like that. That may be a reason why, and I totally agree that's a great reason. But the real reason that we're doing this is to help flip world philosophy, to help spread law of implication, to help spread after game as a form of relationship advice, to help spread magic secrets to gamers and so forth, to help spread friendship, to help spread a profound and a perfect understanding of personal property that would totally change the world. It would change politics overnight. Just like when Jesus said, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." Given the context of that situation, it changed world culture forever. Okay, great show. Really, no, I'm not likening us to Jesus. I'm just saying that there are certain things that have been done throughout history that really have made a change, and this is the change that we're looking to make. All right, God bless you guys. Just such a terrific show, and I just want to thank all the participants. Really great to have Tokyo Gary on this week. So special, for him to visit us, for him to visit and during his various travel exploits, and of course, thank you, Smitty. You do such a great job leading us all here.
Yeah,
It makes it so
whatever.
special, and we
Hey,
just
if
couldn't get enough
anybody has
without it,
time,
Smitty. Really
if anybody
appreciate
has
you.
time, throw it back to Bran, and I want to show you guys something real quick,
What's that?
or just pull it up on your screen.
What's that?
So, guys, thanks so much, guys. I gotta hop off. Take care.
Glad to have you on,
Yeah,
Adam.
Adam.
God bless, man.
Everybody. The idea of David's that you need to really understand a card
Yeah.
has come true with Foggy Swamp Visions.
Okay, yeah. Do I have that built on my account? I'll get there. Just give me a second. I'll do it myself. It'll be fine.
So this was a Dan deck that he
Right, Dan Burdick, our brilliant Dan Burdick. We're so grateful to have him on the show. Inventor of Five Color Green, one of the top guys at WotC who really changed the culture there. Maybe the one that changed it the most in terms of design. So let's go to my decks and Foggy Fun. I have pulling up, and let me go to the screen share go to webinar.
Yeah, so this was a deck that Dan was working on a while ago, and I just kind of pulled it back out of the bottom of the deck list and started messing with it.
Oh, this is where the Krang that you're talking about was coming from. This is so cool.
Yeah. So we Dan had 4 Craterhoof and 4, can't remember, of something else. But Krang is an upgrade from whatever it was.
And this is called Foggy because it's based on using this water-bending card, Foggy Swamp Visions.
Yeah, and I didn't really understand the card until somebody beat me up with it a couple of times, and I was like, oh, okay. So now I get it. So you look over here at Cynical Loner and Gran, and they're like, what is this? What is this sorcery? Gran is just a beast in general, but it's also a super beast in this deck. And then you go over to Cynical Loner. Cynical Loner can go get you anything into your Grumper, but most notably your big ass dudes that you want to beat people up with. And then you can go over here to Foggy, and you've got does machines that loads the graveyard. Unfortunately, I added 2 Town Greeters because I hate that card, but it's actually good in this deck. And then this guy acts as a Zombify, and then we go over here to Breach the Mirror.
One of Dan's favorite cards. We've had so much success with this card.
and he has so many things that you can
Yeah.
use to bargain it with. And then you have Raid of the Moth. You can just straight up stick that in your graveyard if you need to.
How
And
can you not have 4 Springleaf drums in this deck? I guess it's just limitation on the number of creatures that you have to power it.
um,
Only so many
I
cards
mean,
in the deck.
it definitely has had 4 Springleafs at points.
Yeah,
And
18.
we have the
Looks like
sexy
a good deck. Looks potent.
we have the sexy one-offs like Zombify, Red of the Moth, Rankle's Prank, which comes in huge
Yeah, no
at
doubt.
times. And so basically what happens is you get 2 guys, a Craterhoof and a Krang, in your graveyard, and then you Foggy Swamp Visions, and you have plenty. It seems like it's going to cost like 5 or 6 mana or whatever, and it just never does because you have all these other guys that are helping you.
Yeah, because you're really understanding water bending. Like you're understanding, and I agree. I didn't see it the same way. Like before you did this walkthrough with us, I didn't see Foggy Swamp Visions the same way.
Yeah, and that's exactly. Dan saw it, and then we had it on the back shelf, and
Yeah.
Cynical Loner's another thing that's just like silly.
That's
It's
so
kind of
powerful.
like Tidebinder in that sense, in that like it's also 3 power.
It's so crazy. I know.
It's 3
Really
power,
crazy.
so
It's
when
a
the
3/1
hoof
for
comes
kids.
down,
What was it? Claws of Brass kick ass.
it becomes a 6/4 trample, and you're just like, okay, that's a nice
That's funny.
bonus.
That's a great
Then we
bonus.
have a Valgavoth because we have lots
Yeah.
of, not lots, but we have like 5, 6 natural ways to wreck people with Valgavoth.
Yeah.
Like more like Zombify style. Zombify, the 2/3
Yeah,
critter.
and you have this thing too.
That's a card I'm very interested in.
Really
Uh,
interesting.
I just added it. I don't know. We'll see.
It's a lot of mana, but gets spread over 2 turns, so it's interesting. Great.
Smitty's all about that static ability with it. Whenever you lose a guy, the drain and gain.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does have that ability.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like so loopy. Like we can just loop it. Like, what are they going to do if we play a Krang every turn?
That's a good question.
Send them over.
What if you have a Krang every turn? Presumably they did something about the last
Yeah.
Krang.
But anyways,
Okay.
I'm gonna check out now, guys.
Yeah,
'cause it's already-
great episode today for everybody.
Gary, it was such a pleasure, man. I was really
Yeah.
happy. Yeah.
Really a pleasure to have Tokyo Gary on. We always love it when he visits us. Great job, Bryn and Lawrence. They've been working so hard behind the scenes on the Magic Secrets guide, and so the written guide with us. We really appreciate that. Thanks to you guys. It's going to come in so valuable because I'm telling you, when we're doing this, the forum, it's not just about saying, hey, we got a forum. Here you go. We're here to spread a culture. We're here to share a culture and to help get these shortcuts out there to people in an available form. And Lawrence and Bren right on the front line with that. Jeremy so often in there helping out as well. Really appreciate it. I mean, we have an incredible group here, and it only gets better. Just greatly appreciative, and I look forward to next week. Next week's episode is going to be a great one. So this is our first Magic Secrets episode. I thought it might give a little bit of extra oomph to really inspect the book through this, and this all comes because Lawrence really wanted to update that guide, wanted to get the rubber to meet the road with that, was putting his own personal time, personal effort into it, and that helped us all to come together. And the outcome of that is going to be a new updated Magic Secrets guide. We're about halfway through updating the first part of it, and there's several more parts to go, and it's a great experience. Great job, everybody. See you on the next episode. We run things don't run we. Don't take nothing from nobody. Just like Miley said.